Follow me back in time to Oscarville, a thriving African American community in Georgia, was a bustling hub of farmers, blacksmiths, carpenters, and other skilled workers. The town's success stood out amidst the struggles faced by many other towns in the state. However, this prosperity stirred jealousy among the white residents in neighboring areas. As Oscarville thrived, resentment grew amongst those who resented its success. The jealousy eventually boiled over into racial terror. In 1912, tensions escalated dramatically following the allegations of assaults on white women, including Ellen Grice and May Crow. These incidents provided a pretext for white vigilance to unleash a wave of violence amongst the African American community. The jealousy and resentment towards Oscarville, fueled by racial prejudice, led to horrific acts of violence and intimidation. Lynchings, beatings, and the burning of homes and businesses became a tool of terror used to drive out the thriving black population. In the end, the once vibrant community was decimated, its residents forced to flee for their lives. May Crow was a young white woman who was found severely beaten unconscious on September 7, 1912. She died just 2 weeks later from her injuries. Several African-American teenagers were accused of the crime, which set off a chain of events marked by intense racial tension. The accused included Ernest Knox, age 16, and Oscar Daniel, age 18. They were quickly arrested and subsequently confessed under duress, with their confessions being highly questionable due to the methods used to obtain them. Another individual, Oscar's sister, Trusty Daniel, age 22, was also implicated. The case involved a piece of evidence, a mirror, which reportedly belonged to May Crow and was found near the scene of the crime. This mirror was used as a critical piece of evidence against the accused teenagers, despite the dubious circumstances surrounding the investigation. In the wake of May Crow's assault and murder in 1912 in Oscarville, an African-American preacher named Grant Smith was severely beaten for attempting to intervene on behalf of the accused teenagers. Grant Smith went to the authorities to advocate for a fair trial and to plead for the release of Ernest Knox, Oscar Daniel, and Trusty Daniel, who were accused of this crime. His efforts to seek justice and to protect the accused from mob violence were met with brutal retaliation. The incident highlighted the intense racial hostility and the dangerous climate for anyone who sought to defend the rights of African Americans during that period. The incident led to a swift trial and harsh sentences. Ernest Knox and Oscar Daniel were both sentenced to death by hanging. Trusty Daniel was sentenced to life imprisonment. The trial and executions were conducted in a highly charged atmosphere of racial hostility, with large white mobs forming, threats of lynching being pervasive. Rob Edwards, the youngest of the accused, was lynched first without trial. He required a special noose during his trial due to his young age. Knox and Daniel, accused in this racially charged incident, faced a horrific end as they were lynched, a grim spectacle witnessed by a crowd that seemingly treated it as a casual affair. While Knox and Daniel met their tragic fate, the onlookers were picnicking and barbecuing. Ellen Grice was assaulted first. Her reported assault took place on September 5, 1912. The attack on May Crow occurred 2 days earlier on September 7, 1912. These two incidents collectively fueled the racial tensions and subsequent violence in Forsyth County, Georgia. 2 days before the attack on May Crow, Ellen Grice reported that she had been assaulted in her home by 2 African-American men. This incident occurred on September 5, 1912, and it contributed to the heightened racial tensions in that area. The accused men, Tony Howell and Isaiah Perkle, were quickly apprehended. Howell was beaten until he confessed to the crime, but there were serious doubts about the validity of his confession due to the coercion involved. The allegations by Ellen Grice, coupled with the subsequent assault on May Crow, led to a wave of violence and intimidation against the African American community in Forsyth County. The Night Riders were a group of white vigilantes who began terrorizing the African American community in Forsyth County, including the area of Oscarville. Following the assaults on Ellen Grice and May Crow in 1912, these events served as a catalyst for the Night Riders' campaign of racial terror. The Night Riders were a group of white vigilantes who began terrorizing the African American community in Forsyth County, including the area of Oscarville, following the assaults on Allen Grice and May Crow in 1912. These events served as a catalyst for Night Riders' campaign of racial terror. After May Crow was found assaulted and dying, and following the arrest and dubious confessions of several African American teenagers, the Night Riders began their reign of terror. They formed lynch mobs, issued threats, and carried out violent acts to intimidate and drive out the black population. The Night Raiders conducted nighttime raids, burning homes, churches, and business owned by African Americans. They used threats of lynching and physical violence to force African American families to flee the county. The systematic and widespread nature of their terror campaign led to the mass exodus of nearly all African American residents from Forsyth County. The campaign of terror by the Night Riders resulted in near total ethnic cleansing of African Americans in Forsyth County, leaving a lasting legacy of racial violence and segregation in the area. The events in Oscarville and the actions of the Night Riders are remembered as a dark chapter in the history of racial relations in the United States. The dismissal of black residents from Forsyth County was orchestrated by the Night Riders, using tactics of intimidation and violence, instilling fear into the black families, and issuing threats of lynching. These violent acts were coupled with economic pressure, such as boycotting black-owned businesses and denying employment opportunities. The authorities often turned a blind eye to these atrocities, and the justice system failed to protect the rights of black citizens. Faced with the constant threat of violence and oppression, the majority of black residents had no choice but to flee, leaving Forsyth County devoid of its African American population. This forced exodus exemplified the systematic racism and injustice prevalent in the Jim Crow South, leaving a lasting scar on the community and highlighting the need for civil rights reform. The filling of Lake Lanier began in 1956, after the completion of Beaufort Dam on the Chattahoochee River. It took 3 years to fill Lake Lanier. The process began in 1956 after the completion of Beaufort Dam and was completed by 1959. Lake Lanier, while a popular recreational spot, has a darker side marked by numerous tragedies. One of the most haunting aspects is the high number of drownings that occur in the lake each year. Despite warning signs and safety measures, accidents and drowning remain frequent. Reports indicate that hundreds of fatalities have occurred at the lake since its creation. These tragedies include drownings, boating accidents, and other incidents. I think it's important to note that the lake's construction also submerged entire towns, cemeteries, historical sites, and even a racetrack, displacing thousands of people and erasing tangible connections to the area's past. For many, the creation of Lake Lanier represents the loss of ancestral homes and cultural heritage. Beyond these issues, there are eerie tales of submerged structures and remnants of the towns that once stood underneath the lake, contributing to a sense of mystery and intrigue. While Lake Lanier offers scenic beauty and recreational opportunities, its history is tinged with tragedy and the lingering ghosts of the past. Many believe that the submerged towns and cemeteries beneath the lake's waters hold restless spirits, haunting the area to this day. One of the most famous tales is that of the ghost town of Oscarville, which was flooded during the creation of Lake Lanier. Locals claim to have seen ghostly apparitions and heard phantom sounds echoing from beneath the waters. One of the most enduring ghost stories associated with Lake Lanier is that of the Lady in White. According to local legend, a woman dressed in a flowing white gown is said to appear near the shores of the lake, often seen wandering along the water's edge or standing on the bridge overlooking the lake. The story varies, but many versions suggest that the lady in white met a tragic fate at the lake, possibly drowning in its waters or losing her life in a car accident on the nearby roads. Some tales claim she is searching for a lost love, while others say she is a vengeful spirit seeking justice for her untimely death. Witnesses have reported encountering the lady in white late at night or during foggy evenings, her spectral figure illuminated by the moonlight. Some claim to have seen her vanish into thin air or heard her mournful cries echoing across the waters. The legend of the ghostly Indian burial ground at Lake Lanier adds an element of eerie mystery to the area. According to local lore, before the construction of the Beaufort Dam and the creation of Lake Lanier, the land was inhabited by Native American tribes who used the area as burial ground for their ancestors. As the lake was filled, many believed the spirits of the Native Americans were disturbed, leading to ghostly manifestations and spiritual phenomena. Some claim to have seen figures roaming the shores or heard the sounds of drums and chanting echoing across the water. The legend suggests that those who disturb the resting place of the Native American spirits may incur their wrath, leading to misfortune or encounters with vengeful ghosts. Despite the many efforts and petitions to have the lake drained and permanently closed, Lake Lanier remains a popular destination for recreation and tourism, offering a wide range of activities such as boating, fishing, and camping. Alongside its natural beauty and outdoor pursuits, Lake Lanier has also become a site for commercial attractions aimed at drawing more visitors to the area. Despite its tranquil appearance, the lake holds a history marked by tragedy and mystery, with tales of ghostly sightings and eerie legends adding to its allure. In recent years, efforts to enhance Lake Lanier's appeal have included the development of attractions, such as the water park, aimed at attracting more vacationers and families seeking adventure and fun in the sun. However, amongst the laughter and excitement of water slides and beachside activities, the lake's haunted past lingers, leaving unanswered questions and a sense of intrigue. As visitors flock to Lake Lanier to enjoy its natural beauty and recreational offerings, one can't help but to wonder, what secrets lie beneath the shimmering surface? Are the whispers of ghostly apparitions merely figments of imagination? Or do the restless spirits of the past still roam its shores, waiting to be discovered? What do you believe is the truth?